The purpose of today's meeting is to follow up on the previous webinar we had. So we will not be introducing the company today. If you missed the original webinar, you can always watch the recording. But we wanted to do several things. One, get an update from the company on how things have been developing in the last couple of months. One, are you now in a better or worse situation? Are you allowed to, for example, host customers? Has the number of customers increased or decreased? Have you found any new solutions perhaps, or maybe tested some new solutions to the situation? But also there are some questions that the students emailed to us and we wanted to ask them. And likewise, there are a few ideas that the students already are working on or shared with us. And we wanted to get some feedback and sort of hear your opinion if you think those solutions might work. So maybe as the first step, let's go to Daria Kotova, the restaurant co-founder and manager. And just, maybe if you can give us a quick overview of what's been happening in the past few months since our last meeting.
Yes, the situation start to become better. Our revenues somehow become better for, I would say, 10–50%. This is because the weather is rather sunny in St. Petersburg, and there are lots of people who are just walking in the center of the city. Recently, there were school holidays in Russian schools, and there were not very much, but rather a lot of tourists from different cities of Russia. So for the last week, revenues were very good, but this is connected with holidays. I think that in April, the situation will be not so good, but I think better than in winter because of sunny weather and a lot of people in the center of the city. What else? We have created new breakfast on weekends and holidays. These are set breakfast. There are 3 variations with eggs, with oatmeal, or any other porridge, like for example rice, and with cottage cheese, which include also many different toppings and drink. Then we promote a lot this new breakfast on Instagram with target advertisement, and finally for their 3rd month, rather a lot of people came for these breakfasts, but of course in the first 2 months there were almost no customers for these breakfasts. These all updates.
So now one quick question about any new methods that you used. We talked about a few things that you tried in the past, but have you tried any new sort of tricks to accommodate the customers under the conditions where they're not allowed to be inside the restaurant in large numbers? Anything new that you have been trying in the last few, I don't know, months, weeks since our last meeting?
No, I think nothing new, but actually I didn't get the question well.
Let me maybe rephrase it a different way. So there are several ideas that the students have recommended, and I'm just curious to get your feedback, so to speak. And so just to give you an idea, or for everyone, just to have an update on the numbers and situation where we stand with the project. So the early track started in January, and so we had a total of, it looks like, about 62 teams that chose the challenge presented by Troitsky most, and basically we're trying to both help this particular company, but as you know, the challenge is a little bit broader, and so we're asking for ideas for restaurants in general under the lockdown situations. And so they're done now, and now the main track has just started. So it's about another 4,000 people. So if Troitsky Most stays as popular, we expect probably another maybe 150 teams to 200 teams working on this challenge. And so I've looked through the submissions from the early track. And so there are some ideas that the students are proposing, but I'm not sure if they are good ideas. And so I would like to hear your suggestions, or perhaps maybe you tried already these techniques and maybe they worked or didn't. So one thing that many teams recommend, and I think you said that you tried it and it didn't quite work this, well, but delivery. So many teams say that restaurants, when they cannot host customers, clients, patrons inside the restaurant, maybe they should deliver food. And so I kind of suspect that delivery has its own challenges, maybe costs. And then also, I'm not sure if you've considered delivery using your own drivers or using maybe a third party. So can you tell us more about what you think about delivery as a sort of way to deal with the quarantines?
Yes, about the delivery, I still get a lot of questions on Instagram and through emails about delivery, and I have answered, but I will try to explain once again why it is not suitable for us. First of all, now there are no restrictions for restaurant except for masks and gloves, antiseptics. There are no restrictions, so we can host guests freely. Then our concept is one main principle of our concept is diversity. So every day we change our menu. Like yesterday there are 10 salads, and on the next day there are another 10 salads. And another principle is that we are a fast food cafe. So all food are prepared in advance. And if something ends, for example, in the 5 o'clock of the day, it doesn't prepare at the same day. For example, they prepare 10 salads. If 2 ends, then only 8 salads rest. So if we are working with delivery service, such as in St. Petersburg, mainly we have Delivery Club and Yandex delivery service. These are 2 main. I would say that there is nothing else as popular as these 2 services. It is it takes 30% of the order to them, and our margin is about 30% because the prices for the goods, they're still rising and rising. They stop, especially for vegetables and some dairy products, which are our main products. That's very strange, but for fish and meat, price do not become higher. I don't know. So, and for us, it is not very suitable to work with these services, as our profit will be 0 or maybe minus. Then why we do not use our own delivery? When during quarantine, then we can't host guests. We try to organize our delivery, but there were just not many orders because I don't know why, but there were not. So the salary for their driver was much higher than the profit from the orders. So, and then last summer, our government let us work and host guests. We just refused from this option because it doesn't work. Yeah. I don't know why, but I think our format just inappropriate for delivery, because there are also many difficulties with this site because we have to change menu every day. So another cost for IT service, And all in all, this just has had negative income.
Yeah, I can also imagine that for restaurants, especially like the one you have, where the inside of the restaurant has, you know, very special design, very special atmosphere. I imagine that many people go to restaurants like this not just for food, but also for the environment, for the entertainment,
Yes,
for
yes.
the place.
For example, for coffee.
Yeah, yeah, and so I guess you cannot quite replicate that with deliveries. You can deliver the food, but again, for many restaurants, sort of part of the offering is the actual place. So delivery is something that probably worthwhile considering for many restaurants, but it probably will not work for all of them. Likewise, did you consider many teams I see are talking about takeout? So you prepare the food, the people pick up the food on their own, but they eat at home or at the office. Or
Yes.
also a related question also always is a drive-through. I'm not sure if it's a popular thing outside the United States, but the idea that people just drive in the car to the window, you hand them the food and they eat either in the car or at home. So have you considered anything like that? Would it work for you?
I see that, but all our cafes located in the center of the city, and they're just impossible to do this option because it isn't. Cathedral or building there cathedral situated, it is not just the separate building, it is some living houses, so it's impossible to make. And for takeaway, this option is quite popular because
At
in
your
some
restaurant? At your restaurant?
yes, at our restaurant, because many people pick up food with them. For example, when there are no available places in some hot hours, they just pick food to their offices or homes, and it is also popular in the evening. Then we have discount for the salad bar. Also, not very much, but people know about this discount and come in the closing hours to get some salad with discount.
And again, I imagine that takeout or takeaway, whatever it's called in different countries, it's probably a good viable idea for many restaurants, but again, possibly not for all. Again, sometimes people go to restaurants not so much for the food itself, but more for the experience. And so if you're talking about places like McDonald's or something like Burger King, those, yes, takeout has always been part of their menu or part of their options, and it's always easy to pick up food at those restaurants, and you don't go to McDonald's for the environment. You just want to get a burger. But if you go to a place that has a fancy design, maybe beautiful music, maybe nice I don't know, flowers on the table, whatever. So I guess some of those things may not be fully replicated. Now, students, I have a few additional questions that came by email, and I will be asking them in a minute. But I see there are quite a few of you here, so you are welcome to ask your questions. And I would like to reiterate for those who came late. So the goal of today's webinar is not to talk about the company itself. We did it a few weeks ago, and you have the recording. So today, the opportunity here is to ask questions that you may have as you're working on the challenge. Or if you have any ideas and suggestions, you can share them and get feedback. And so again, I would like to emphasize that the challenge for Troitsky Most is not limited to one restaurant. So we do have a restaurant as a sort of an example here, and we have the restaurant founder and manager here who will tell about their specific experience, which is quite typical, I guess, during these times. But the bigger question that you need to answer in your challenges is how restaurants in general can survive and cope with the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. So restaurants in general, what can they do to survive? Many have gone out of business with the stream of clients sort of slowing down to a trickle. Many could not cope with the reduced volume and pay their rent, so to speak. So don't keep it limited to one specific restaurant, although we do have a client, and obviously that should be the focus, but kind of think broader. What else other restaurants might be able to do to survive during these difficult times? So there is another topic that comes up from time to time, and I'm not sure if it's relevant in your location, but several teams were talking about disposable paper dishes. So the idea is that many clients may be concerned about sort of sanitation and safety. And so, yes, we can clean the tables and floors and everything, but some clients may be concerned that, you know, like if you have porcelain or, you know, china type of dishes or plates or cups, it may be, you know, some clients may be worried about sort of contamination. And so several teams said that maybe your restaurant or restaurants in general can switch to paper plates and paper cups during this time, which will save you time on cleaning, but also the customers will be more comfortable and less afraid of the virus. Do you think in the context of your restaurant, it might work? Again, it seems like yours is kind of upper scale restaurant, so I'm not sure if paper plates would be a good idea. Have you thought about that?
Yes, I think it wouldn't be very good for the image of the cafe of vegetarian. It is also connected with this association of ecological cafe and some eco aspects. So I think this kind of plate and cups won't get very good impression on our customers who are vegetarians or vegans.
Plus kind of environmental concerns, I imagine that some people think that, you know, waste in paper may not be very environmentally friendly. So I don't know, that's a tricky proposition. So again, it might work for some restaurants, but perhaps not for others. Another question that comes up all the time is, if we surveyed potential customers or business owners, what should we ask? So I think in the challenge, we actually do ask students to do it, but if not, it's always a good idea for you students to interview owners of other restaurants and maybe interview your friends and ask what they think about this. And so when you talk to the owners of other restaurants, you always can ask what kind of solutions they found or tried, and, you know, what worked and what didn't. And when you talk to your friends, asking, you know, are you still going to restaurants? Why or why not? Again, you can get a better sense of what the customers, you know, think about all of this. But Daria, so many teams will be interviewing restaurant owners in their locations. Many teams will be interviewing their friends. So any questions that you would like them to ask, like if you had access to hundreds and hundreds of your colleagues, people who own restaurants, what would you want to know from them so that you can use that knowledge to manage your business better?
I think there is no any creative question except for what are you doing to save your business, what ideas come up to you, and what exact source, what are the main source of money, for example, if it is just a coffee, or it is confectionery, or it is usual food, what people buy mostly.
Yeah, that's a very, and you're right. I mean, a direct question, especially against students in your locations, if you can literally just walk in the restaurants that seem to be doing just fine in your location and ask them what their secret is. Did they find some sort of a magic formula or some sort of a trick that allows them to keep the customers coming back and surviving during these times? I think that would be very informative and very useful. And I think you can just borrow some of those ideas. How about customers? Have you done any surveys of your own? Like, did you do any interviews or surveys of customers that come to your store just to gauge their opinion? And if you have you found anything interesting?
Yes, we had tried to do some survey through Instagram, but there were almost no response, and just usual talk in the cafe of cashier with customers. They also do not get many feedback, because customers who were loyal before pandemic, they stayed loyal, and they just said that we love you for very interesting food and at the whole atmosphere, and they didn't advise anything because they say they like everything that you have, and that's enough for us. And young people, they are not very ready to discuss something. They're always a little bit afraid, so we cannot get enough information from the younger generation to understand what they want. The most typical response is comfortable sofa and fast Wi-Fi. But we have it already.
Yeah. One thing I will say, so I've spoken to a number of business owners in general, including restaurant owners lately. And so one of the recommendations that almost every single team in the early track gave, and I feel that it may not be a good recommendation, it's a good idea, but it's not as simple, and that is social media. So I've looked at the reports already submitted, and almost everybody says increase your presence on social media. Show them, you know, how you prepare the food, or you know, like show pictures on Instagram, or maybe, you know, post ads on social media. And it sounds like a good idea, but what I hear from business owners, and that's my experience as well with my own sort of entrepreneurial endeavors, it's not so easy and not so effective. And just like Daria just said, you, for example, post a question on Instagram, or you post a picture or story, and in many cases, it doesn't quite generate that same interest that you know, expect. And so it's not a, you know, magic pill or silver bullet, as they say. So you place a picture, it doesn't mean that there will be instantly 10,000 people, you know, talking about your latest dish or answering a question or engaging in debate. People are overloaded with social media, especially Instagram, Facebook. They're very, what's the proper word? They want you to pay for everything. And so if you just post something, I mean, I suppose some become, you know, sort of popular and famous, and whatever you post, you get a lot of engagement. But in most cases, people ignore it, Facebook ignores it, and so you sort of spend a lot of time and not necessarily get the results. So this is not to say that you should not be recommending, you know, online strategies or online presence or social media strategies to promote businesses. Yes, please do. It's important. It's interesting. But what you should do is go beyond simply saying, oh, start posting pictures on Instagram to promote your business. That idea is basically useless because everybody thinks about it. So give us more, maybe provide examples of, you know, the types of pictures you think will work versus those that won't work. Maybe go and find an account of a local restaurant that does it effectively, where you see a lot of engagement. You know, try to analyze what they do differently from others, because I'm telling you, probably 95% of the businesses that have a page on Facebook and Instagram, they don't get any traffic. Like literally, I mean, I'm subscribed to probably hundreds of them. And even when they post something, there would be like a couple of likes from, you know, close friends, and that's it. Like it's mainly ignored. So it seems like it could work, but it's not as simple as just, you know, post a picture of your happy chef with a, you know, whatever dish he or she prepared. No, it needs a little bit more. So when you recommend social media or online, do provide more details. What exactly will work, you know, do's and don'ts, maybe examples from others. So try to go deeper, because it's not as simple, you know, as it may appear from the outside. And I'm not sure, Daria, have you tried anything online, like, you know, like creating a group, creating a fan page? Did it work for you? Was it effective? Was it not? Just
Yes, I create an Instagram page, and I post everything there every day. And what I noticed that I have tried many different things, such as telling about our recipes, our history, and so on. But the only thing that works is just simple, beautiful pictures of the food or the drinks without any additional information. People on Instagram, they just like to watch beautiful picture without any complicated stories. And one more thing that also works, I make up thing that every day I post some quotation some inspirational phrases with the picture of anything from related to our cafe. This can be interiors, this can be some dishes, some drinks, no matter, just every day. And this works because people start to repost this quotation and tag our Instagram. This is the only thing, interesting thing that works, and others not.
Okay. If I may, so we have quite a few students now watching, so I would like to do a quick poll. Let me see if I can quickly, I think I created a couple of questions, but I didn't. Just a second, let me just save it. So I imagine we have quite a few countries represented here, and so I wanted to see, just one second, wanted to see if we can get, let me see, I think I'm doing it wrong. You know what, instead of the poll, I'll just ask you to put in comments. So in the locations where you are, guys, and I see we have quite a few different names here, so I assume we have different countries. So in the city where you live, or in the country where you live, are restaurants operating as normal, or are there some restrictions, or are they closed altogether? So if you could please put in the comments your country, maybe your city, and just basically say restaurants open as usual, or restaurants are completely closed, or maybe restaurants are open but only operate as takeout or delivery. So if you could please do that, it would be very interesting for us to get a sense of how things work in different countries. Daria, you said in your location in St. Petersburg, you are allowed to operate as normal, right? Or are there some restrictions in place?
Just wear masks and have some antiseptics inside.
But you can have people inside. Everything is
yes. For more than half a year we have.
So then at least you are not fully sort of crippled in that respect. Okay, very good. United States, New York, the restaurants are slowly opening to have more people indoor, but still not fully open, Stefan. So it's kind of similar in North Carolina. So they are open, but we are not always, I think they're not allowed to seat people inside. And when they are, it has to be lots of spacing and stuff like that. So it's mainly for takeout and delivery. So, and then also Alicia is saying that USA, Ohio restaurants are open normally, but require socially distanced tabled, and all employees and guests are to wear masks. Some states are lifting the masks mandates. I hear that in Texas, they either have already or are thinking about lifting, basically not requiring the masks anymore. So that's in the United States, yeah. All right, a few more questions then, and then students, so if you have any questions, we will be finishing soon. So, but it's now your time to, as I said, either ask the questions or go to ideas and, share your ideas and get feedback. So several teams talked about frozen menu. So they were saying that maybe you should prepare sort of prepackaged frozen food, and then people would either buy it and then prepare at home one meal at a time. And at least a couple of teams said that maybe you should prepare sort of like a week, a box for the whole week, where they get a huge box of frozen food for the whole week from your restaurant. And then while at home,
yes.
Did you try that? Is it?
I think that's a very interesting idea, because we have already frozen dumplings with different taste, and I don't know why we didn't do anything else frozen. Thank you. I think we will do it in the nearest time.
So it may be an interesting idea. Again, I'm not sure if it would work for all restaurants. Again, thinking about like fast food, like Subway or McDonald's, I don't think that can be frozen. So this is something that just wouldn't make sense. But if it's some more sophisticated food that could be maybe then reheated at home or maybe cooked, so it seems like it might be a good idea. A couple of teams also talked about subscriptions. So they say that one of the big challenges with the delivery is that it's hard to manage, and basically it adds cost. But if you allow people to subscribe, like one meal a day, and they sort of specify in advance, many days in advance, maybe even a whole month in advance, what they want and at what hour, it allows you to plan, and exactly how many meals you need to prepare at a particular day. So it wouldn't be a last minute order that needs to be rushed. That 3 weeks from now, this family wants this food at this time, and they will stop by to pick it up. So that way it allows you to do better planning and better sort of smooth out your production line. But again, it sounds quite complicated to me, and not so much for the restaurant to manage, but for people. Like, for example, I'm thinking, would I be willing to subscribe for the whole like month in advance for food? I don't know, it seems like a little bit too complicated for me to do the planning. Do you think it might work, Daria? Like, is that a viable idea, or just
Uh,
something?
I think rather viable, but I think it just had to be advertised a lot, because as people do not think about our cafe as some delivery service or subscription service, I think this option needs a lot of money for advertising firstly.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. There is a question from Owen Ter Bullen. So that, and I think the question refers to what we discussed, frozen or sort of pre-ordered food. And so the question says, maybe we can do it for the most popular dishes. So not all of the menu items, but perhaps the most popular dishes could be available for sort of in frozen format for delivery. And again, Owen Ter, I guess that's the name, how you pronounce it. If I got it right, please correct me if I got it wrong, but yes, I assume it would be hard to keep everything frozen, but maybe for the most popular items that might work. Yeah. There was a question that I accidentally deleted, but is the government providing any support, like, I don't know, maybe some sort of like unemployment insurance?
There were little support almost last year, some minimal wage pay out, but for 2 or maximum 3 months. So this sum wasn't enough to help our workers.
There's a very interesting question from Alisa Soy from Kazakhstan. She's saying that I think Kazakh market is very similar to Russian, so why not try? And so here there are several ideas. One, change the packaging. So paper plates, I assume, do not have to be boring. Maybe you can make like boxes that look beautiful and nice. And then also, so basically lure customers with more sort of designer way. But also she's saying that maybe create some kind of riddle or interest or puzzles. So I'll let Daria answer the question, but then I have sort of my comment.
Yes, that's good idea, and we are actually doing this now, because earlier before pandemic, then I didn't participate in business. Managers just do not think about this, because they were target on more adult auditory, which is not maybe interest in such kind of package. And now when I want to attract some younger customers, this was the first idea to brand our cups to go, maybe create some stickers. And as soon as we get money for this, we are now start working on this. We have some meetings with a graphic designer, and we are moving in the direction of some jungle theme, some green color with maybe birds or some tropical animals.
Yeah, yeah. What I will say, both Alisa, but also everybody is listening. So these are wonderful ideas, but again, it's very important that you provide enough details. So for example, if you say, why not have some designer packaging? Great idea, but why don't you propose, or make sure that you propose some specific suggestions. And those could be either your designs, or maybe one or a restaurant in your location does something like that, like literally go get a package, take a picture. So send something more concrete, right? So that we can look at it and learn from it, right?
And for example, if you paint, we can, and if we like, for example, your work, we can even buy it, as we, for example, now searching for some paints with jungle to buy and to patent it. Maybe you have some friends, or you yourself.
If you do a graphic design or something, yeah, absolutely, why not? Likewise, for example, again, I like the idea that Alisa suggested, like some riddles and puzzles and things like that. Again, the more details you provide, the better it is. So, try to make it so that it's literally kind of copy and paste ready. And again, these could be your own ideas, or maybe you see some other restaurants do something like that. Like, for example, in the United States, most restaurants have like, like coloring for kids, or they may have some sort of puzzles or riddles that you solve while you're waiting for the food to be prepared. And so if you can maybe bring those samples and just show, okay, this is what it looks like, this is how, you might want to do it. I mean, obviously the company, the client company will make some changes, but that will give more context, that will provide, more actionable plan. Because as a general idea, yes, it's great, but there is a big difference, or big, long way from just simply an idea, let's do something cool, to the actual, product that would be on the table, or, or whatever we're talking about here. So try to be as specific as possible. So if you recommend ads online, describe what they might look like. What would be the sort of the storyline if it's a video? What would be the picture if it's a picture? What would be, a riddle if it's a riddle? So this way it would be, for the client much more practically useful than otherwise. All right, so I think I asked all the questions that I had. So students, if you have any additional questions, please ask them now, but otherwise I think we got some good feedback and updates. And so I think we will wait then a few more weeks before you're done, and we'll see what kind of ideas you come up with. And then, so there are a couple of technical issues or comments for the students. So there was one comment, where do we find the recordings of the webinars? Again, I'm not sure how you passed the readiness test if you don't know that, but I'll show you one more time. So if you can see my screen, you go to xculture.org, right? And you go to your resource page, 2021B. So you're in this track. You have the password for it as well. So you have it in the emails. And so right here, you have a section on webinars. Webinars. You also have it, I think, in pretty much every email that I sent to you. There is a link somewhere there. But when you click on the link, it contains a live or current updated version of the webinars. And so here you would see the upcoming webinars. I think we should have deleted this one because it's already been, oh no, it's tomorrow. No, it's been done. So yeah, we need to update it. But then, so you see the list of upcoming webinars, but right here, you also see the links to all of the recordings. So for Troitsky Most, for example, you just click on the link and it will take you to the recording of the past event. And so here you will see the one that we did some time ago. Actually, quite a few people watched it. So I see like 740 or so. So because we had about, I don't remember how many were attending the event live, but it seems like quite a few watched it later. Another thing that I will say is that I sent the email, I think, twice now, but if you missed it, let me show it to you one more time. So you have a link in one of the emails, and I'll maybe send it one more time again today, a link to a folder where the coaches provide feedback on your work. And so what we have here is, where is it, feedback from coaches? Just a second, did I? Coaches feedback right here. So you have access to this folder. And so what you have here is feedback from the coaches on the work that they see as you submitted week after week, as well as feedback on the work submitted in the early track. Like, for example, just yesterday, we updated feedback on the early track, on block 1 for all companies. And so you can literally look at, for example, this file here. So this is the feedback, not specifically for your company, but feedback on all submissions for Troitsky Most block 1. And so we had a few coaches who literally read everything that you guys submitted. And so instead of giving feedback to each one of you in general, so they look at kind of, all the submissions and they say, okay, these are the general impressions about the 60 or 70 submissions we've seen. And here are some interesting ideas, and here are some mistakes, and here are some interesting solutions. And so this way, it's pretty detailed, as you can see. So it's about 10 pages of feedback on block 1. And then likewise, you can go and see feedback on block 2. Again, you're not done with it yet, but the early track worked on it. And so you can see what kind of mistakes, for example, the early track did when it comes to the early track, to the Troitsky Most challenge. And again, you can read it, you can see what the coaches had to say about it. And so it may not be fully tailored to your work, but you can still see a lot of interesting ideas and comments there, and basically learn from the mistakes of others. Now, I'm hesitating if I should share with you the submissions from the early track. As I said, they were just finished, and so we already have the submissions. And I suppose we could show you what the early track did, but I think that would be unfair because, you know, it's a competition and both tracks are competing in this competition. So I think it would be unfair if you saw what they did. Plus, I don't want you to see their ideas so that you can still think, you know, on your own, because otherwise you will just be copying work of others. So it's probably not the most, you know, productive way forward. But yes, those links have been sent to you. You know where the webinars are, you know where the feedback is. I'll make sure it's included in the email that will be going out tomorrow so that you have them. But, you know, do take a look at that feedback. You'll find a lot of interesting comments from the coaches there as well. All right, well, thank you so much, Daria. So I suggest we stop here. So if there are any additional questions, you can always send emails and we will forward them to Daria, or if we know the answer from the webinar, we'll just copy and paste it there. But yeah, so interesting times, and in a few weeks, we will have all those reports ready for you, Daria. So hopefully lots of good ideas.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions.
All right, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.